We're talking about one bad mother today. Find out what I mean as I hereby summon all my imps to join me on my adventures through Marvel Snap. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. So today we got a brand new card in Marvel Snap. And starting this particular month, there'll be 2 cards on the first week. So on the first week, I will do the second card on the Thursday. So this week I'll actually talk about the brand new card that you can get in the Spotlight Cache, and then on the Thursday I'll talk about the card that you can actually get in the season pass. So let's go over Caiera, what her background is, some of what her powers are, where I think she fits into the game, and what I think her start rating is. So Caiera is one of the Shadow people, an extraterrestrial race who helped colonize the planet of Sakaar. They are linked to the primordial power that enables them to tap into the planet for additional strength. She began her training when she was 13 to help rid the planet Sakaar of the parasites called the spikes. Caiera was saved by the imperial people after the spikes overran her village. But they planted an obedience disc into her so that she would be forced to serve them. She eventually grew to become a lieutenant in the Imperial Guard, and they made her the Warbound Shadow to honor the treaties between the Imperial people and the people of Sakaar. Caiera met the Hulk when he was enslaved as a gladiator, a famous personality on Sakaar. Through his gladiatorial victories, Sakaar attempted to save him by offering him a chance to retire in peace, but the Hulk refused her offer. Working together, they destroyed the obedience disc in both of them and became the rebel leaders against the Imperial people. Caiera and the Hulk took down the Imperial people and defeated them. They were named successors to the throne by popular acclaim. They got married to each other as king and queen. Caiera became pregnant with the Hulk's child, and they hoped to usher in a new age of cooperation among the many people by naming their son Sakaar. Shares can willfully channel the energy force native to the planet Sakaar itself for the purpose of increasing some of her natural abilities to superhuman levels. Caiera is a highly skilled and formidable fighter, a protector of both the weak and the strong. This is represented in Marvel Snap by her protecting both your weakest and strongest cards. So what she is in the game is she is a 3/4 that has ongoing. Your 1 and 6 cost cards can't be destroyed. And I basically am putting her right in the 2-star range. Let me explain why I think she's a 2-star card, because this was the one they kept going back and forth on, believe it or not. So the first card that we gotta bring up is we gotta bring up armor. The fact is that she basically is an armor for your littles and your bigs, so that's where she falls into. And armor, the thing about armor is, armor costs 2 while she costs 3. And you're really only gaining 1 more power for what she does over the armor itself. But they're also putting it at 3 slot. And 3 is a really hard energy cost to use, because it's kind of almost too late to throw something down that's more of a tech card. Because I was looking at some of the one drops here, and if you look at some of the one drops that we have in the game, the only two one drops that you really want to look at are Sunspot from the early game. You play down Sunspot, you play her down, and then basically you skip every other turn until the last turn where you slam down a big card. Maybe even put Magic in there to go to 7. And then you play She-Hulk down with like the Infinite on 7. And that's the weird thing. She doesn't really work well with the Hulk, but she works very well with She-Hulk. Another card that would work well with the one drop is Nebula. And the problem with Nebula is just the fact that if you play Nebula down, your opponent will always throw cards right into Nebula, which means that even though she's protected as a one drop, there's a lot of times where Nebula just doesn't get enough power to make any difference. An interesting one for her, which is why she has some sort of interesting play, is Human Torch. Because Human Torch has always had the problem of wanting to be destroyed, but then not wanting to be destroyed after that first time. The only problem with that is if you look at the Phoenix Force, basically is on 4, which means that you have to play for on 5 just to make sure that your Human Torch didn't die, because that's what you basically want him to die in the early game, and then this would just be a protection in the last part to make it so that it didn't die off Killmonger. And that's one of the ones that you kind of got to look at. This is basically doing almost the same thing as Killmonger does, except the exact opposite. Instead of destroying all one card cost cards, it protects one cost card. But it doesn't protect your opponent's cards, so you can still destroy your opponent's cards with it. But it's kind of weird because I'm trying to figure out like when you want to play her. I mean, it's good for the Quinjet too if you want to start playing Loki again and not worry about your Quinjet getting destroyed, or playing low cost cards with the Loki. But it's gotta be a 1 to begin with. So if you drop it down to 1, it doesn't work. I basically almost want to compare her to Kingpin to a certain degree. Because if you compare her to Kingpin, it's the same cost, same power, and Kingpin is trying to destroy a card or two, where Caiera is trying to protect a card or two. Some interesting 6 cards on her, though, are like the Null. When you look at the Null, you might be able to play this kind of weird destroy version where you destroy stuff early game, and then at the very last turn you drop down the Null, and then you don't have to worry about the Null being found speed. You can also kind of put Death in there, but she won't protect Death because Death's technically not a 6 drop, it's an 8 drop. That's the problem. Ultron's also kind of an interesting little combination, because the Ultron itself is the 6, and all the little drones are considered 1 drop. So it kind of protects the Ultron and it protects all the drones. But it's kind of a weird combination of playing those two. The biggest problem with her is even if you play her down, stuff like Gambit can still go off. It just can't hit her 1s or your 6s. And the other problem is Shadow King. Shadow King will knock stuff down that got powered up. So the cards that are kind of in the 6th spot that you want to look at her for are stuff like the Living Tribunal, to protect the Living Tribunal from ever getting destroyed, and believe it or not, the Blob. Which is weird because the Blob's already kind of running armor, but they might run her instead, because then you don't have to worry about where the Blob goes, and you don't have to kind of let your opponent know where you're going to play the Blob. So, maybe they don't realize the Blob's protected by her, and they waste something on it like a Shang-Chi. Also, another kind of interesting one for her is Spectrum, just because she's ongoing. And you get to protect the Spectrum and bump her up with the Spectrum. But I'm really was trying to figure out like what cards you really care about being protected. I ended up with stuff like the Blob, which was decent. She-Hulk, which is decent. Living Tribunal, which is decent. And those are the 6s that I really think you care about getting destroyed. And in the 1 slot, and if you look at the 1 drop there, the only thing that really hit my brain on the 1 drop were the Human Cord, the Nebula, and the Sunspot. Another interesting one that I think they gotta kind of look at in the future with this is Elektra. This really takes the feet out of Elektra. I don't know when Elektra will ever see play again, because she already is not seeing play, and this is one more thing that makes it harder for her to see any light of day. So let's look at the other cards in this week's Spotlight Cache. We've got Living Tribunal, not Living Tribunal, I have a Lutheran. I don't know why I said Living Tribunal, sorry. High Evolutionary is a card that if you don't have yet, you need to get. I would almost roll on this, even just to get the High Evolutionary, even if you have the other 2 cards in this. Even if you get her, I still might roll if you don't have a High Evolutionary. High Evolutionary changes your deck from start to finish. It makes every neutral card 10 times better, 20 times better. The other card in this week is Nebula. Nebula is good, but only kind of if you have her. The problem with Nebula is it dies to the Killmonger, and when you play her down, everybody will play into your Nebula to kind of make her not gain power. There's a weird version of deck I kind of want to play. Test out if I get her, where I play the Nebula and I play the Jean Grey, just kind of make her go into a different location, and I want to try that out a little bit. So for this particular week, you almost don't care about the main card. If you're missing the High Evolution or you're missing the Nebula, it might be worth getting. So she's kind of like a bonus on this week. So let's find out what's in the box. What's in the box? What's in the box? Let's all find out what's in the box. Box is Nebula. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, remember, play full fun.